What's up, team? It has been a minute. In fact, it has been a couple weeks. In fact, it has been two of the dopest weeks that I could ever picture, and I have updates. I took a PET scan, I got a hip replacement surgery scheduled, I got engaged, I got the results of my PET scan back, and they were clean, which means I'm in remission from stage 4 metastatic melanoma for the third time. Wait, what's that? You're saying you want me to go back to the part? You're right, we should probably talk about me being engaged, seeing as I've been in remission for cancer 2 other times. And while 3 months in remission is actually very important, it's not as important as I got fucking engaged to the love of my life. Okay, let's talk about that. In fact, I'm gonna do the breaking the fourth wall thing for a second here. I tried to make a video about this a few days ago, and I kept finding that I was dragging myself into like the emotional turmoil or the roller coaster element of being a cancer patient. And I didn't want to relitigate those emotions or those experiences more than I already have on this vlog because they're real and they're valid, but shit, I just want to be in a celebratory mood when I'm talking about making a commitment to the love of my life. And I realized that might be a little bit contrived. I mean, this vlog is primarily about being a cancer patient, and my life is of course going to be affected by how the pendulum swings in my safety and whether I'm in treatment or in remission or whether one day I finally become cured. But I was having trouble finding a way of describing it that I felt was apt for the situation. But then I took a PET scan and it kind of reframed how I was thinking about everything and how I want to talk to you guys about it today. So I took the PET scan like 4 or 5 days after we got engaged. I think we got engaged on Thursday. I took the PET scan on Tuesday. And, I had a very, very nominal amount of scanxiety, even though the first quarter after treatment is really important. From a statistical standpoint, the farther out you are from treatment and the farther you get into remission, the better your prognosis is, which makes sense. It just shows your cancer is not like insanely aggressive. And so I got clean scan results back. And by the way, I make a video that, celebrates each and every month that I'm in remission for good reason. It's really important. So big ups for that. I mean, there's no question that that is something I'm elated about too. But I realized that I was struggling to talk about my engagement because that's not how I want life to be framed, let alone when I talk about my life in a video on the internet. Because when you're diagnosed with cancer, I think the biggest goal is to retain agency in your life. That means physically, mentally, emotionally, and the things that you do throughout your life. And being in a happy, committed relationship is really important to me, especially at this stage of my life. And also there's not a lot of like prep for how you're supposed to feel as a couple when you're getting engaged surrounding this big, scary stage 4 cancer diagnosis. But I imagine that Caitlin and I felt a lot of the same emotions on that day and surrounding it. And at least for me, like I don't want to speak for Caitlin here. She will be on this vlog. I promise she's going to make many guest appearances going forward. But for me, I think it's this overwhelming sense of joy because what a moment for both of us, but also relief in that things are trending in the right direction for me, for us, and for the environment that we're in as a couple who is dealing with my diagnosis. That is the reality of the situation. When you are diagnosed with aggressive cancer or your partner is, you guys are in it together. And we have always been clear about that. When Caitlin and I started dating, she already knew about my diagnosis and the chances of it coming back. In fact, we had dated briefly during my first remission and I was a mental and emotional train wreck, so it didn't really work out. But when we got back together, I was still in that first remission and we had serious conversations about what might happen if and when cancer came back. And I was like 4 years into remission at that point in time. But man, joke was definitely on us because right after we decided to get back together and form a serious version of our relationship, I was diagnosed with my first recurrence just a few months later. And it really shifted how we had to view the hypothetical portion of what if cancer came back. And it became a version of how do we deal with this? How do we get through this in multiple scenarios, good, bad, or otherwise? And how do we continue to grow our relationship around it or through it or in spite of it? Because I think we had made the resolution that, yeah, cancer is going to impact my and our life, but it doesn't mean that we can't enjoy the good parts. And that's been one of the most special parts of our commitment to each other, even throughout these last few years leading into this engagement. I mean, I beat cancer a second time in 75 days. We got through that, but it was harrowing. I got super sick. She was super worried about me the entire time. I was in remission again, so we bought a house together. And I was diagnosed with another recurrence literally 1 week after. Pretty much our entire relationship has been influenced with the threat of me being sick or me being sick and the fear and uncertainty that goes with a very advanced cancer diagnosis. And, not to mention the time and resources that are spent in dealing with my diagnosis. But the unified decision that we made to keep planning for our future and acting as though it would happen, because what's the point of acting as though there isn't a future? I mean, I fully understand that I've had very fortunate outcomes in a stage 4 metastatic melanoma diagnosis, but I just don't know how else we were supposed to have played it. And so right after I was diagnosed last year, the third time I've been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, I told her, hey, design a ring And next year, when I'm in remission, I'm going to propose to you. And clearly, as evidenced by me sitting here telling you about it, that is what happened. And even the details in between during this year of treatment, they've been incredible and they've really fortified our relationship. Like, I went and played professional basketball in Costa Rica, which every video I make, I should mention that because I just want to brag about it for the end of my life. But I spent 3 months during this year of treatment in a foreign country away from Caitlin. And every day I was there is this yin and yang of, missing her and what we had back home, but also understanding that it was safe and secure and what we were building would continue right as soon as I got back. It was just this hilarious blend of like urgency, but also calm and reassuring. And so when I finally did get my shit together and scheduled a fake couples news interview. Big shout out to my friend Dylan, by the way. He's a newscaster who helped me set this up, and his girlfriend Shannon and my best friend Noah. Everyone who was there made this a super, super special moment, but Caitlin was not buying 1 second of it. Maybe that's why she was so calm when I was proposing, because she saw right through my plan. Very, very kind of her to act surprised in that moment. And yeah, I definitely had some nerves as I was getting down on one knee and trusting my soon-to-be replaced arthritic hip and allowing me to get back up. And, the entire gravity of the situation when I was in front of this woman and asking her to be my wife, I wasn't going to not say it that way for the first time. But the thing that stood out to me, what I enjoyed so much on an individual basis that day, was I had just this wave of calm. And I've described that feeling as it relates to other portions of a cancer diagnosis and recovery. But this was a really unique version of that because it was us in this moment and realizing that at least part of the instability and fear that cancer has brought into our lives, we had beaten. Because when you make a commitment of your life with someone else, you understand that there are big moments, tough moments that you're going to have to get through. No one has ever gone through a lifetime with someone else without dealing with sickness and tragedy and sorrow and all these other things. And so for us, we front loaded a lot of that. My biology has acclimated us to what these situations are like. And we've been in and out of this stress for as long as we've been together. But in that moment, all I could think about, this is what winning looks like for someone in my situation. Excuse me, our situation. And in fact, that's an important distinction to make. I've talked about that at length, how much being the significant other of a cancer patient is a tireless and thankless job, and it's about as much as you can have your life affected by someone else going through it who isn't actually in the patient chair. And I brought it up earlier as something that I only wanted to frame as, hey, let's bask in the joy of this moment. And I hope if you're watching this, you can feel happy for me and for Caitlin, but understand that I'm presenting this to you guys because this is a version of what success looks like. This is why when people are developing cancer treatments and people are willing to put themselves through experimental drugs to potentially get through cancer, these are the moments that you're trying to get to. And both Caitlin and I know that nothing is guaranteed with a cancer diagnosis like mine. When I was taking a PET scan 5 days after proposing to my now fiance, I thought about that a lot. Our lives could be entirely flipped upside down again if a little spot showed up on that PET scan and I had to go into treatment again. But it didn't. It was clean. I'm here. I'm telling you about that. I'm telling you about my engagement. And I'm telling you that the feeling of this rocket ship going straight up, that is my relationship with my fiance, is worth it. It's worth everything that I and we have suffered through for the last 3 years. And it's worth everything that we're going to inevitably have to go through in the future. And of course, it's easier for me to sit here and say this right now when I'm healthy and everything looks good. Why would I not want to experience the easier parts of being a cancer patient? I have no way of telling the future. That's why cancer is scary. But right now, I just want to share the joy that I and we have because, again, that's all I've been trying to get to throughout this entire time. I just want to have a life where I can have moments like this, and it feels good to be in one right now. I'll catch you up about all the cancer-related stuff soon. But right now, I just want to say that I'm happy, and I hope this brought you some happiness today. Tell your partner you love them. Thank you so much for spending your time watching this. Talk to you next time. Bye.